Xin chào. My name is Mrowiec. Sorry that I can't be there with you today, but I'm currently competing at the NCCAA National Championship in track and field.
And I created Noi. Noi is an augmented alternative communication app for individuals with speech disabilities. Noi leverages the proliferation of mobile devices in Vietnam to provide Vietnamese with an easy-to-use and efficient method of communication. So this project was not my idea. It was actually my sister, Caroline. Caroline lives in Vietnam and she is an occupational therapist at Hope Therapy Center. She brought this app to me as a possible senior project, and she had heard about this and worked with it in the States, but had never seen it in Vietnamese. So I did some research and found that there was no augmented alternative communication app in Vietnam for the Vietnamese people. Noi is built on Cough Drop, which is an open source platform. This gives Noi the ability to use the full set of features that have been tried and tested through Cough Drop. Noi allows users to create and add phrases to customize the experience to best suit their needs.
My main goal was to get a working app in the hands of my sister. So with that mindset, I used the agile development process with the intention of first getting an initial deliverable to her so she could get her hands on it and start working with it, and then give me feedback on what features she wants.
Hi, I'm Caroline. I'm Miles' sister, and I was the one who coerced him into making an app for me. I am an occupational therapist and I am volunteering for a nonprofit clinic in Vietnam, working with children with disabilities. And in the United States, when we have a child who's nonverbal, so they can't speak, they may be able to understand some language, but they don't have the ability to speak, we use something called an augmented communication device, which is just a method of giving them a means of communication since they can't verbally communicate. So we use something like an iPad, download a communication app onto it, and that allows the child to use pictures, words, written out phrases in order to communicate with others, and that's just standard. But here there's no app like that. There's no Vietnamese communication app. And so for kids who are nonverbal, they just have no means of communication. So I think Miles is gonna share with you some of the videos that I took trialing out this app with one of the kids that I work with here. He was normal up until about 3 years old. He got a fever, I think it was maybe meningitis, and he has resulting physical and cognitive disabilities because of that. So he grew up, he's 8 years old now, not being able to verbally communicate, and so all he would do is just yell, like, "Wah!" Yell whenever he wanted something, and he would yell until he gets what he wants. So we have been working with him to teach him a little bit of sign language, and then using this app so that he now has a means of communication. So because we have something to replace his yelling with, now we can kind of work on phasing out that yelling, and because he has a means of communication, we can work on so many things with him, with being able to communicate when he's upset, when whatever he's feeling. He can now ask questions to us, like, how are you? He can ask us that now through this app. That's just something that he's never had the ability to do before. And to be honest, he was a little bit of a monster when he first came, and I love him, but now that we are able to have this app and start using this with him and just opening up this whole new world to him, it's really making a difference with his behaviors, with his ability to know that he can do things for himself and ask for help when he needs it, and it's just really empowering for him. So it's not just giving him a means to actually show phrases to others through an app. It's giving him self-confidence to try things for himself, to stop just yelling for whatever he wants, and to be able to think about others in a new way, because now he's not just trying to get his needs across, but he can actually ask other people what they're thinking and what's going on. So that's really cool. And that's just one kid. We have a lot of other kids with autism or maybe with cerebral palsy who they really just can't articulate words even though they can make sounds. So the nice thing about this app is it's totally customizable. We can make it as simple as needed or as complex as needed depending on the kid, depending on their cognitive ability in the situation. So I'm so excited to use this here and to keep putting it to use in new ways.
Now I'd like to outline the process I took to construct Noi. When I started, I quickly realized that I wouldn't be able to create a full product in the time frame and still be able to deliver something to my sister that she would be able to use with her kids in an effective manner. So I started working and looking for an open source option, and I found Cough Drop. So I contacted Cough Drop and got in contact with Brian, who through emails gave me some great advice. And in the end, he said, why reinvent the wheel? I was glad I was able to build a relationship with Brian because this helped me with questions, or if I ran into any problems, I could communicate with him, and he always was quick to answer and help me out. This was my first time being an open source contributor, and I had a lot of fun being able to work with people around the globe, all working towards the same goal. Looking back, I get to see the GitHub pages with the same questions that I had asked, now answered for the world to see and hopefully learn from my mistakes. So that was my process. With the goal in mind of getting a working app to the Hope Therapy Center in Da Nang, Vietnam, I began researching the problem and other open source options and began contributing and collaborating with Cough Drop. In the end, I was able to create a successful app. Now we'll get a quick look at what the app looks like in person and showcase some of the key functionality.
Some of this demonstration will be in English to aid in the demonstration.
So the first thing we're going to do is say, I want water. So we click I want, and then we go down to here where the food subcategory is. We click it and we have another list of multiple items.
Water.
And we click water. And it outputs, I want water. But let's say we didn't mean to say water, instead we meant to say, I want some milk. We can hit back and then hit milk, and we're all good. To return back to that main page, we just touch the back button. What gives Noi a lot of its power is the ability to use multiple boards depending on the situation. So right now we're going to exit the speak mode, and we're going to head to the main screen. As we can see, there's multiple boards that we've been using, and we're going to go to our Loi Nan 24, which stands for quick words. Here is another Vietnamese board with multiple different phrases and objects that we can go through.
And
as we see, we've got our water and our milk here. So to demonstrate an example, let's say they ask, how can I help? So we say,
how can
I? And then we go into verbs, help. But let's say they didn't hear it, we can go in here and say this louder.
How can I help?
As you can tell, it's a little louder. We can also remember this saying, and then they will be saved. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you want to try out Noi, you can use the iPad stationed at my table or download it from the Apple App Store.